Have you found your sweet spot with your protein intake? Hey, what's shaking bacon? I hope you're doing well. My name's Bruno Panucci. So I've been doing the Carnivore Diet for almost 2 years now consistently. I was doing it on and off for about 4 or 5 years before that. And back in 2013, I started doing zero carb on and off. I did that consistently for a whole year. Lost a lot of weight and put some of it back on. And I feel like I found this sweet spot when it comes to sticking with the carnivore diet and how easy it is for me to maintain it. Now, since I started this channel, I've been giving myself lots of little challenges. A year ago in September, my first video was talking about a 4-month challenge I was giving myself with a pretty high protein diet and some weight training. It was pretty good. I put on some lean mass. By the end of it, I lost 19 pounds of just fat. I believe what the problem was with my weight training was I didn't change it after a couple months. It was like a rookie mistake. I kept doing this routine and I was more focused on doing this specific. I was more focused on trying to keep up with a circuit training routine that I gave myself and trying to really give that a good solid go of a 20-minute intense workout instead of trying to make sure I was upping myself. So my priorities were a little bit off and I think my body adapted after a couple months. This current challenge I'm doing, some other people are following along with it and I think that's pretty cool. So it's 80-20, 4 meals a day. So 80% of my calories from fat, 20% from protein. I'm allowed to go over on the fat if I want. And when it comes to the protein, I divide those meals up into 4 different meals. Now that's 35 grams of protein per meal for me throughout the day. The reason why I'm doing this is my weight loss was at a stall for 8 months. 8 months, I didn't lose a pound. I lost a few inches, which was pretty good. I think a lot of that might have just been skin tightening up, but I lost a few inches. All my numbers and my blood work and everything have been pretty good, but I still had this weight loss stall. In fact, for a little bit there, when I increased my fat intake that much more, I actually put on 23 pounds. Lost quite a bit of that, but plateaued. And the problem was insulin resistance. I was getting too much protein on this carnivore diet. So the good news about the higher protein was it was keeping my lean mass up. I was floating around 185. Without doing any exercise or resistance work, I usually float around 185 pounds of lean mass. Now, I want to bring my fat mass down. So here's this dilemma I was in. I was clearly still dealing with insulin resistance. There might be some other problems in there as well, but insulin resistance is definitely one of the problems that was preventing me from losing weight. So lowering my protein helped me access my fat as fuel because I wasn't getting as high sugar bumps, which meant I wasn't getting as high insulin bumps. And my insulin was easier managed trying to do this moderate level of protein throughout the day. So it's pretty good. If anything, I like to move this from 4 meals to 6 meals a day and spread that protein out a little bit further. So I'll have an even smoother bumpy ride with lots of little bumps going like this versus 4 meals a day going like that. Once or twice a day, you're going to get a bigger bump in your sugar like that, and your insulin is going to have to go up accordingly. And the problem with severe or stubborn insulin resistance is it goes down like a jet plane. It goes really slow and it's not going up and down along with your blood sugar. Multiple small meals and moderating my protein has made an impact on that. And I started to get some weight loss, but as we discussed in my last video, over 50% of it was lean mass. Now, I've given myself a lot of challenges in the past and I've often tweaked them, but usually only out of necessity. For example, when I first started my first program, I was only eating 3 pounds of meat a day and it just wasn't enough. I was dealing with rabid starvation. I probably wasn't getting enough fat in what I was doing, but it was 3 pounds of lean ground beef. So I had to bring that back up to about 5 pounds a day, no lower than 4 pounds a day. And I got really good results. I only lost 19 pounds, but it was all fat. That was great quality weight loss. I didn't lose a pound of lean mass. Now, the goal of this challenge is to speed up my weight loss and get out of this plateau. And it's working. So I would say since August, I've lost almost 20 pounds. Out of that 20 pounds, too much of it was lean mass. Weight training is going to minimize that. So I have this delicate balance of finding my protein sweet spot. So after this challenge is done, I'm going to play around with my protein a little bit more. I might divide this by 0.6 or I might go up to 0.8. Depends on how I feel at the end of this challenge. I'm definitely going to try and find my sweet spot with my protein because here's the issue. My lean mass likes the high protein. My insulin doesn't. So I have to find this balance between the two, right? If I have too much protein intake, my insulin just doesn't respond well. So if I lower my protein, the reality is my lean mass is eventually going to go down. Even if I fight it with a weight resistance program, my lean mass is eventually going to go down. And so I have to either accept the fact that I'm going to lose more lean mass than I wanted, or at least try and minimize that lean mass loss. But the reality is I have to find this sweet spot with my protein so that I can become more insulin sensitive, so that I can start getting healthier metabolically that way. And then once my body can handle the protein that I'm giving it, train it to start absorbing more. If we don't give our bodies reason to absorb protein, it's only going to be able to handle so much. So there's lots of different ways to manage insulin resistance. I did a whole other video on that. And one of the ways we can do it is some weight-bearing exercise. We have to give our bodies a reason to do something with the protein that we're giving it. One of the better ways to manage your insulin is even more smaller meals. But say you've gotten to the point where you want to start increasing your protein because you're not as insulin resistant as you were and you're digestively doing really well. You're getting into ketosis. You're just able to process the fuel that you're giving your body better. So the goal is to find your limit with your protein. You might have to start off kind of low, but keep working towards increasing that. Give your body a reason to take that protein in and do something with it. It's a building block. We want to use that protein to build lean mass. That's lean mass, including muscle mass as well as bone density, especially women that are dealing with osteoporosis or osteopenia, the precursor to osteoporosis. You want to make sure you're doing the right type of exercise to absorb this protein. Walking isn't really going to cut it. You need to do weight-bearing exercises to find your sweet spot with your protein once you've been able to fine-tune this and handle it better. When we get older, our bodies just don't absorb the protein like we used to. So what we have to do is give it reason to find a use for that protein that we're giving it. Don't necessarily cut back on your protein. Maybe consider doing some weight-bearing exercises to absorb that protein and put it to good use. That's a different way of managing your insulin resistance. Why not tackle it from two different fronts? From limiting your protein as well as taking that protein that you are getting in and using it. So the exercises I would highly recommend would be deadlifts, squats, shoulder press, push-ups or bench press. These are all exercises that are compound exercises. You can do a lot of little muscle groups and that's all well and good, but the reality is you have to switch between those exercises daily. Make one of them your core exercise and do it to the point where you feel a good burn. You want to make sure you're measuring how often you're exercising. You want to make sure how much you're getting done in that exercise and also how long it takes. You want to make sure you're always outdoing your last exercise, whether it's by reps or by weight, one or the other. You have to give yourself a reason to build more muscle and lean mass. You don't want to be 60 and 70 years old and dealing with osteopenia because you're not getting enough protein. Protein is essential. If you're at a stall and you're trying to manage your protein intake a little bit more and give your body less of a load every time you eat, multiple small meals is a pretty good way to go. A third way is some weight-bearing exercises, not walking, not jogging, nothing long distance, no elliptical workouts. Those things are good forms of exercise, but they're not geared towards building lean mass. Your doctor might be giving you medication to help combat osteoporosis or osteopenia, but that's not really going to do much, once again, if you're not giving your body a reason to maintain its lean mass. As you get older and you're not handling this protein as well, it doesn't mean you should be cutting back on your protein. I strongly feel it means you should be giving your body a reason to do something with that protein. So we got to find that balance. I get that you want to lose weight. Sometimes that might be your immediate goal, and that's fine if you want to lose weight and then build up your lean mass again. Maybe it's more important for you for one health reason or another to get out of the woods. I totally get that. But you don't want to become a skinnier version of your unhealthy self, right? You want to try and be a healthy version of yourself as you lose weight. It may be a slower road because the scale doesn't tell you what your lean mass is compared to your body fat. So it's hard to really tell if you're making good gains. So you have to pay attention to the inches when you're working out, not the scale. If you're starting a workout routine with weight resistance and you're on this moderate protein diet, or some of you are doing a low protein diet, which I think is potentially really risky, you have to ask yourself, are you trying to be skinny or are you trying to be skinny and healthy? You have to ask yourself if you want to be healthy first, because if you're healthy, the skinny is going to come on its own, especially if you're doing all these other things that we just discussed to manage your insulin resistance. Insulin resistance isn't a switch that turns on and off. It's a problem that has different degrees to it. It's not an on-off thing. Either you have it or you don't. I first realized I had stubborn insulin resistance when I was trying to deal with my gout back in 2020. I found out that even though my fasting insulin was good and my fasting blood sugar was good, I still had stubborn insulin resistance and it was giving me gout attacks. So I started taking a product called berberine, and berberine helped lower my blood sugar naturally. It's a natural product, which meant my insulin didn't have as much work to do. That helped get me down almost 90 pounds, but then I plateaued again. You know what? I also stopped taking that berberine around that time, so that could explain part of that plateau. But what happened is that plateau lasted 8 months, and now I'm managing my protein differently, for the sole reason of managing my blood sugar better. Managing my blood sugar better is allowing me to manage my insulin resistance better. So I thought my insulin resistance wasn't as much of a problem because I lost all this weight and I've been doing carnivore and I thought fat adapted, but it turns out I was just getting too much protein. Lowering my protein has helped manage my insulin resistance. Multiple small meals has helped lower my sugar bumps. Weight-bearing exercises is another way to manage this. The interesting thing when it comes to exercise, if you start incorporating weight training into your routine and you're checking out your blood sugar, it's going to increase your blood sugar for a little bit and you're going to think, no, I don't want my blood sugar to go up. You need your blood sugar to go up. Every time you get active and you use your body, what happens is your body burns through glycogen and then it burns through some blood sugar. And then your body says, okay, wait a minute. Now we got to make more blood sugar. It's a good thing if you're using your blood sugar. You're using your body's fuel. Your body has to generate more blood sugar for the activity you're doing. It's great. It's going to increase it temporarily, but overall, it's going to help manage your blood sugar. So it's almost like a 1 step back, 3 steps forward. Anyway, I hope you found this helpful. I want you to keep in mind, you got to find your sweet spot with your protein. Don't find your number for your protein and stick to it and get married to it for the rest of your life. Once you've adapted and you've got metabolically more healthy, find your sweet spot. Always play with that protein level. It's going to change through the years. Just find what works best for you. Everyone's different and you got to find what works for you. Thanks for watching this. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe. Take care.